listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review.
Didn't even count us in this time. He just went straight into the intro.
Yes, I did.
Bill's fired up. He's rested and ready to go.
Yes. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast featuring us, the Online Sports Guys. Yes, I have returned after a 1-week hiatus, although I did have a contribution via video. With me, as always, brother Marty and OSG Nelson. I am OSG Phil. We are going to talk about college football, and guys, we got a lot to talk about because
there's a lot to talk about.
Those college football weekends we've had since last season.
Crazy.
There's craziness afoot.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well go ahead and start with the headliner. The game of the century, of the decade, forever, part one this season.
UConn and Buffalo.
The SEC has a lot of those games for some reason. It's almost like they think other teams don't exist. But continue.
The Georgia-Alabama game, which arguably you could say was two different games in each half.
Yeah.
The first quarter and first half featuring Alabama getting out to a 30-7 lead, only to see the Georgia Bulldogs come roaring back in the second half. They did win the second half, but they did not win the game after a crazy sequence in the last 3 minutes. Still not sure exactly what I was watching there.
Chaos is what you were watching, son.
And somehow they're still going to be in the top 5 after losing the game.
They are. No,
in the SEC, you have quality losses.
Yes. Especially in an expanded playoff format. So I figure it's going to be Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. That'll be your top 4.
Oh, I would go.
Oh, they're going to put Georgia above Ohio State.
No. Not with a loss.
You ain't lost yet.
I know. But I'm just going by history. And, you have the SEC. An SEC quality loss is worth more than a Big Ten win.
Well, but I think that, and let me carry.
Or do they save that for the last rankings of the year?
Yeah, that. I think that because of the expanded playoff format, here's what I think. I mean, what you have now is you have separation between Alabama and Georgia now.
Much.
But then what this does is it sets up, if you set it up like that with the 4 teams locked in the way that they would be. So if we hypothesize Texas at 1, Ohio State at 2, Alabama at 3, Georgia at 4. What you get is the opportunity for an Alabama-Georgia rematch if they all win and they all win their way through, because they wouldn't play each other until the championship game. So you would have your final 4 would be Texas playing Georgia again, and then you would have Ohio State playing Alabama, and your 4. So then an Alabama-Georgia rematch, which would blow the ratings off of your television show. It would be Who Shot JR all over again. You get that in the last game of your television series for the new CFP playoff.
Yeah, I would disagree with that, although at this point in the season in college football, everything is totally subjective.
Yeah, and they'll manipulate it at the end of the season however they want.
It really doesn't mean that much as long as you're in the top 12. But yeah, I think you're looking at Alabama number 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3. And
I'm an Ohio State fan. I kind of think they're still at 3.
Don't be surprised if Miami leapfrogs Georgia.
What did you have for breakfast?
Bill, I saw a stamp on your hand. Does that involve alcohol? Or are you still drinking it?
Do not be surprised.
You're still drinking alcohol?
Well, besides that.
Yeah, just to get some more talking points on the 4-letter.
Yeah, I mean, right now, where people rank in college football right now is kind of as important as power rankings. Power rankings mean absolutely nothing, and so does where you are after week 5.
Of course. But that doesn't mean that folks can't have anything to talk about. You're going to have some challenging talking points in your rankings, and people are going to gnash their teeth and pull their hair out and have it look like Albert Einstein. That's what this is this time of year.
Getting back
with common sense and looking at it like a television series. I apologize for that.
Common sense is so uncommon, it should be considered a superpower.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's not a whole lot of people with it. There were so many takeaways from this game in so many different levels. I can't describe how well Jalen Milroe played in that game for Alabama.
Was it Milroe or was it the Georgia defense? Or a lack thereof?
I think a lot of it was Milroe, who was on target with almost every throw and ran for over 100 yards. And it wasn't like there weren't Georgia players there. They were, but he was quicker to the corner. He ran through some of them. I mean, look at his statistics. 27 for 33, 374, and a couple of touchdowns passing the ball.
Against that defense.
Running.
Yeah, but I think that he took advantage of the defense. He ran for 117 and 2, so 491 net, 4 touchdowns responsible, 1 interception. Ryan Williams 6 catches for 177 and 1, and he had the 75-yard late that gave them the lead. So, I mean, I think that this sets up that rematch that everybody's going to be looking for, Alabama and Georgia. And so what will Kirby Smart have learned in this situation? How will Kalen DeBoer react to a rematch? All of the anticipation of something like this. This rematch will happen and the ratings will be insane.
What will the writers come up with?
Yes, absolutely true.
Going back to the players, because I'm going to try and keep things on track here. Carson Beck came into the game really one of the top 2 or 3 NFL quarterback prospects heading into the season and expected to be a high round draft pick, but he was good but not great. 27 for 50, 3 TDs, and 3 interceptions.
Well, a lot of that also happened in the comeback. So I think you've got to take the first half numbers, then put them to the side, and then go, okay, second half, when they went hurry up, when they threw the game plan out, when you took the scripted plays, Carson Beck, take the scripted play Carson Beck versus okay, we're trailing and I've got to wing it Carson Beck. And I think that there are 2 different versions here of Beck to look at. Does he have the arm strength of the first round draftee quarterbacks? No, but you got to see his placement and how he can pick your placement cliche here. But you got to see his touch versus his arm strength, especially in the comeback in the second half. So there's some things that Carson Beck needs to learn going forward, but the scripted Carson Beck versus the ad-lib Carson Beck, I think you've got to see the difference in those 2 individuals.
Yeah, and then in football, there's a big difference between those 2. Coaches insist on scripting certain things, and sometimes it holds back players from allowing them to do what they do best. A classic game. Another one of the epic games in this series, but we'll move on to the other games of the week. Texas was your number 1 team going into the week. They played Mississippi, pretty bad Mississippi State team, who they kind of toyed with a little bit early before kicking it up a notch and ending up with a 35-13 win. Arch Manning got his second start. Pretty good game, 26 for 31, 324, and a couple of touchdowns. Took care of business.
Woo.
Did they have a controversy yet?
I don't think
for
so.
us, no, but for your banjo playing average fan.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that there is for the banjo playing average fan. But Sark said all the right things after the game yesterday. He stood next to Arch. They were asked questions. And Sark said all the right things about how Quinn is helping Arch along, these kinds of things. So the answer from Sark is no, but I'm sure that your fan will sit there and say otherwise. And you want to divide into
but
Astros.
Dash, stop.
No. Was he running the Texas offense? What's going on?
He's barking at something outside the house.
It's what happens when Southern beats State. State people try to charge your house and try to sit there and burn it to the ground.
Yes, they do.
gotta be careful with that flag out front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Ewers gets the job. I think there's no controversy unless Texas starts sputtering.
Mm-hmm. Because you can't have controversy.
Or if it's a slow week, then that's going to come up just to be a talking point.
That, yes, absolutely. If you don't beat a team by X number of points, and one of those whoever was quarterback is obviously eminently responsible for the margin of victory being what it is, and so then you'll have the discussion.
Yeah, but not until then.
No.
Speaking of cruise control, Marty, your Ohio State Buckeyes, a good win over Michigan State, 38-7. Jeremiah Smith is next level, and he's just a freshman.
It's Michigan State. Come on.
Bill, they're doing things there. That quarterback's young for Michigan State. He's going to be good. Once he figures it out and gets seasoned a little more, he's going to be good. I give them some respect. They tried to hang in there, but Ohio State just kept taking the ball away from them.
Yeah, they're not. Michigan State is not Ohio State.
No.
Not even Penn State at the moment.
No. A couple of years from now, we'll see where things are, but right now, not even close.
Yeah, they're headed in the right direction. Pat on the head.
The Buckeyes, they moved to 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
Going down the top 10 ladder here. Next game is probably one of the bigger upsets of the week. Kentucky goes down. Goes down.
Not Old Make, it's Old Miss.
And walks away with a 20-17 win. I got to watch a good chunk of that game, and it was a pretty darn good game.
Brock O'Clock, baby. That's what you're staring at. It's Brock O'Clock in the Grove. And, I mean, looking at the numbers yesterday for Brock, manageable 18-28, 243 and a score, another 93 yards on the ground. But you took advantage of your opportunities and got the score late. So it's a good win for Mark Stoops. Great confidence builder for Brock Vandegrift, Prince Avenue Christian. We've covered him. We know what he's all about. But yeah, big win for Brock in his new home for the moment.
Wait, who's that coach at Ole Miss?
I think his initials are LK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe he should spend more time game planning than doing TikToks with his wife.
Good luck on that.
Yeah, I think
you just have Juice be his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, one of the takeaways I got from the game, because I watched a good chunk of it, I like how Kentucky doesn't try to do anything other than what they're good at, and their defense is tough.
Yeah, no, that's what Mark Stoops has done. But
that's what all Stoops do.
Yeah, I mean, but think about this. Offensively for Kentucky, they were challenged at one point where they had Lynn Bowden, a wide receiver, basically running option at quarterback. So you make do with what you have. And when you had Brock Vandegrift portal in, it gave you a quarterback who understands the SEC, hadn't been getting reps at the University of Georgia. But I think now you're seeing Brock Vandegrift getting adjusted to what Mark Stoops wants him to do offensively, and you're seeing an upward curve in his skill set in Lexington. And so I think that this is one of those moments where you sit there. I don't know if the aha light came on, but it is certainly, when you're hitting the light switch, I think that it's starting to respond.
And we wondered how Georgia could only manage 13 points against Kentucky in their win the week before. Now we know why.
Because Kentucky's got a good defense. See, Stoops, family tree.
Yes, they do. Going on down the list, Oregon with a big win over UCLA, 34-13. We don't need to get into details there. That's taking care of business.
That was a big Pac-10 game.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Big Ten.
It's a big Pac-10 game.
Yes. Penn State beat Illinois 21-7 in a game that bored everybody, including the people that were there.
Pretty much.
And Yes, you could call it an upset. Arizona goes to Utah and knocks off the Utes 23-10.
Oh no, absolutely, it's an upset. I
Oh
mean,
God, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Arizona,
it was
Nobody called that.
is
it was
was
Tupac after dark. Don't get us wrong, but it was for a different reason than offense. It was an upset, and when you go into that stadium where you're having to come from behind, traditionally it's a very tough thing to do, but good work on what Arizona is trying to do with with their program. This is one of those quality wins that you get, and so going into Utah and stifling that offense. I mean, that was a good work by them to get the Duke late at night. Let me get the stats really quickly here as I'm trying to scroll and figure out what I'm staring at. Yeah, 23-10. It was 10-3, and Arizona scores 20 straight. Noah Fafita threw for 197 and 2. And it was a four times on fourth down stop for Arizona's defense. And so Cam Rising on the day obviously was kind of hamstrung.
Don't say that with him.
Started. Isaac Wilson started at 20. Yeah, and there's a reason he's hamstrung because he didn't start. Isaac Wilson 20 of 40 for 280 and a score, but he also had 2 picks. And then they only had 84 yards rushing outside of that. So
yeah, Utah not the same team without the oft injured ninth-year freshman Cam Rising.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So no, well, once again, Arizona's now 3-1. Utah's 4-1. Utah will drop out of the top 12, but we'll see what happens there. And they'll be gnashing of teeth at Rice Eccles, I'm sure.
Now, has Cam got his NIL deal with the local emergency rooms? The
Grecian
little dock in the boxes.
Yeah, Grecian Formula 16, I think, is where Cam's got his NIL.
He should have an urgent care NIL deal somewhere.
One game we didn't talk about in the top 10 that we probably should was a Friday night game, Virginia Tech and Miami.
Oh.
The Hokies gave the Hurricanes all they could handle and then some.
Okay, touch first. Now, let's just skip to the ending. Touchdown, not a touchdown.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You go to video review and you reverse it. When the evidence wasn't there, it wasn't clear enough evidence to reverse it, but you're going to reverse it anyway.
You can't do that.
That crew had a rough night. I'm just going to say it right now. The crew had a rough night, and the VAR had a rough night.
Didn't they get suspended for 2 games after that?
I don't know. I don't know.
They should be.
As I sit here and stand back looking at scores.
I've not heard that.
I haven't.
There is. I can't remember which team it was. I saw a quick blurb about that between games. That one of the egregious officiating mistakes this week led to a brief suspension for officials.
In a statement, the ACC said the pass was ultimately ruled incomplete because the ball was touched by a Miami player while he was out of bounds. During the review process of the last play of the game, it was determined that the loose ball was touched by a Miami player while he was out of bounds, which makes it an incomplete pass and immediately ends the play. So at least that's the early returns.
That's their story, and they're sticking to it.
That is their story, and they're sticking to it. So I think that is their CYA move.
Okay.
So
speaking of atrocious calls that affect games.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch Michigan and Minnesota?
No, I try to avoid anything. Fleck. I get a reaction.
So Minnesota's making a late run.
Mm-hmm.
They score. They go to kick the onsides.
Yes.
They recover the onsides. There's a mystery offsides flag. When you look at it was so bad the announcers even said there's no offsides there.
Wow.
None. I mean, it was Jesus. They haven't cheated that bad since Connor left. Watch the clip. It's just egregious. Now you don't know if they would have scored, but oh my God. I wish Ohio State could get some home calls like that once in a while. It was bad. Watch the clip. It is unbelievably bad.
I'm trying to sit there and see if PJ Fleck had commented on anything, but I've yet to see any PJ Fleck comments.
I would say he pulled his hair out, but
Oh,
Kind of difficult.
stop with that.
Kind of difficult to do if you're PJ Fleck at the moment.
Oof.
I mean, what's this world coming to when I'm cheering for him?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that
For
was
for those of you wondering, Michigan ended up winning the game against Minnesota 27-24, despite the Gophers scoring 21 points in the fourth quarter.
yeah, it's one of the few times you see an umpire get the game ball for a team. Watch that clip. It's egregious.
Wow.
Moving down the list of games, USC takes care of business.
They were down a lot early. They came back to win, so they get credit for me for that one.
Yeah, and they were down 21-10 at the half, and they came back and won 38-21.
Mm-hmm.
Big game for several players. Kobe Lane having his breakout performance. 10 catches, 105 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. Good win for USC, hosting their first Big Ten opponent.
Especially the way the first half went. It looked like they wanted to go back to the Pac-12. And then I don't know what he said at halftime, but damn, 28 unanswered.
Want to go back to the Pac-12? That's all Lincoln Riley had to say. Do you want to go back?
Oh, that might have been the threat that got him over the threshold.
Mm-hmm.
28 unanswered, 2 touchdowns each in the third and the fourth.
Do you want to go back? No.
And they pitched the shutout in the second half.
Yes. No, we don't want to go back.
Easy win for LSU, 42-10 over Alabama. Notre Dame hosts Louisville in a game
Alabama, sir.
Teams.
Because if they beat Alabama 42-10, that would have been the lead story.
Perhaps.
South Alabama.
Good win for the Irish, 31-24 over Louisville. Clemson, 40-14 over Stanford. Not much to be said there. A little bit of a surprise in Manhattan, Kansas. Not so much that Kansas State won, but how much they won by.
Yeah, that was a stunner. And when you look at it at 42-20, it wasn't even that close.
Yeah, huge performance by Kansas State, a team that seems to be getting better every week.
Yeah,
they go to 4-1 on the season.
Mm-hmm. Avery Johnson threw for 3, ran for 2 more. So number 23, they'll probably bump up a couple of notches. So keep an eye on K-State and the chaos. I thought that the total was probably the better play and going over. And they helped me out in the fourth quarter by clearing north of the mid-50s. So 62, but yeah, the margin of victory being, it was 42-13 before the by the way by Oklahoma State. So Oklahoma State did help your juice boxes for those of you that were looking at total, and still lost by 22.
We'll move on to the next game, and I'll let John take this one. Oklahoma and Auburn, because John was there.
Yes, he was. Oklahoma and Auburn are not good football teams. Why Oklahoma is ranked is only because of the word of the school that they go to. They are not a good offensive football team. Both of these schools are lacking in quarterback play. Oklahoma decided to switch quarterbacks after losing to Tennessee. And you could tell that it was the first start for a quarterback in that particular situation. Not a whole lot of passing, not a whole lot of successful passing. And frankly, I don't know how many times you say this about games going on in the Southeastern Conference, but it was a painful watch.
Mm-hmm.
It was painful. The fact that it was 27-21 stunned me by the end of the day.
Because Oklahoma scored 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I mean, there are ways to lose leads, and then there are ways to lose leads. Both of these schools right now have quarterbacks that are not worthy of starting in the Southeastern Conference. Peyton Thorne, there are so many issues with Peyton Thorne as a quarterback. Michigan State knew this, and they saw this. And so Peyton Thorne was like, well, since I'm not playing, I'm portaling. And so Hugh Freeze apparently saw something, which I have no earthly idea what he saw. We could do an entire show on what's wrong with quarterbacking. You don't look off receivers. You sling from 3 quarters just to get it over an offensive line. and you end up with the deciding score in this game being a 62-yard pick six, A, because you don't look off your receiver, B, because you don't see in your periphery the defensive players coming into the passing lane. And literally, it was a linebacker that stepped into the passing lane, saw what Peyton Thorne was going to do, runs it back 62 yards for a score and a final. Oklahoma's 4-1. I get it. Ranked 21. I get it. They're not the 21st best team in the country right now. They've got a lot of issues. And if you force Oklahoma to pass, you have a good chance of winning the game. Unfortunately, Auburn's defense was out there for entirely too long trying to go up against the run, got pounded, and you had some long gains. Auburn is not a good football team. The boss will tell you that. The boss will be the first person to sit here and say they're not a good football team. There's issues at quarterback that are not being addressed. You have a coach that wants to throw his players under the bus at press conferences. And you wonder, and everyone's wondering, oh my God, the buyout is astronomical. And so there's going to be a decision at the end of this season, hopefully, and a lot of folks are looking at the defense and looking at DJ Durkin. This is at the end of this season, which probably will be 4-8, maybe 5-7 top end. There's going to be those decisions by John Cohen, the athletics director, about this coaching staff. This is probably going to be the coordinators have to go year. You've got to fix things, and so it's going to be the coordinators because the buy.
I was going to say, you're talking about a program who thinks there's something that they're clearly not.
Yeah, and the level of investment has been invested in the wrong.
Oh no, John froze.
They've been invested in the wrong thing.
Yeah, you've invested in the wrong thing, and so this is where you are right now at Auburn, and this was a painful watch. It was a painful watch yesterday. That's the only way that I can phrase it.
Yeah, moving on.
So wait, do you think Auburn's like just trying to get him to do something stupid so that they can fire him for cause? Like, are they buying him motorcycles and sending over extra interns trying to get him to do something stupid?
That's
been done before.
That's Arkansas round two. I don't know if they're that smart to try to force mistakes, but when you have an IDGAF coach because the buyout is so big, and you're seeing Hugh Freeze's true colors. I think you're seeing Hugh Freeze's true colors here when you want to throw folks under the bus instead of take your own responsibility.
Yes, indeed. Moving down the list of games here, BYU goes to 5-0. They beat Baylor 34-28, and what ended up being a pretty good game.
A lot closer than it was initially because Baylor came back in the second half, and it was I think it was another fourth down stop with Baylor down 6 that caused this one to end the way that it did.
Now, I want to talk about the number 25 ranked team in the country because they have what I consider my favorite player of the year so far, Ashton Jeanty.
Yes.
Continues to run for over 200 yards a game. This week he goes for 259 and 4 TDs, leading Boise State to a 45-24 win over Washington State.
He needs an invite to the party at the end of the year. He needs to be invited to senior prom. I don't care what his numbers are. As much as I'd like for him to be further in the discussion for the Heisman Trophy, Marty, I think it's Travis Hunter and everybody else. But Ashton Jeanty should get an invite to senior prom, with no question.
Yeah, he's doing it against equal talent level defenses as well. He's not striking a Heisman against UCF.
No, Phil knows about Ashton Jeanty from early in the season.
Yes.
That kid's a force, and for his size, what he's doing, I mean,
he's just running through people.
It's a fun watch out at Boise to see Ashton Jeanty, but like I said, he needs an invite to the the Downtown Athletic Club to kind of do an attaboy for what he's been able to do this year. But for me, it's Travis Hunter and everybody else.
Yeah, if you see a Boise State game in the TV program listings for the week, watch it. It'll be worth your time.
Watch it.
A couple other interesting games here. Indiana goes to 5-0 with a big win over Maryland, 42-28. Curt Cignetti has authored a pretty good turnaround for the Hoosiers. Granted, they haven't played the toughest schedule on paper all season long, but to get that team to 5-0 is one heck of a coaching job.
First time in 57 years.
Exactly. Um, Other games. Here's one. I wish his brother J-Dub was here with us so we could kind of have some fun with him
Barton, right there.
because my wife is going to have fun with him. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns take down Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, 41-38.
Dave Clawson is on the career dissipation program in Winston-Salem without question.
Getting smoked like a Winston.
And speaking of North Carolina games, Duke goes to 5-0.
Duke.
Comeback win over North Carolina, 21-20.
Oh, Jeff Collins, why are you still employed?
Duke is Duke. Oh wait,
Duke.
sport.
They're on TV more times than reruns of Leave It to Beaver.
The Blue Devils outscored the Tar Heels 21-3 in the second half to get the comeback win.
Collins, why are you still employed?
He'll be joining Auburn next year.
And then we got to talk about another game, more sadness. The death spiral in Tallahassee continues as the Florida State Seminoles travel to SMU, and they don't just lose, they lose bigly, 42-16, as John momentarily blanks out when I started talking about it.
See, I wish I blanked out even further. Mike Norvell, they're 1-4, and so they continue their weekly consistency, and I mean that both W-E-E-K-L-Y and W-E-A-K-L-E-Y, of being 17th. They're the first team to be 17th in the ACC, and they continue in their consistency to be 17th in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Well, they won an ACC game this year. They won one ACC game.
But they're still 17th with tiebreakers. We are 17th in the ACC. This takes a special talent. And you end up with a team right now at 1-4. And Mike Norvell, the words that he used after the game, it's just like he was like shocked and all these kinds of things. I don't know. Maybe it has to do with your quarterback play. I'm just saying. You end up, I mean, and this game was not even close. You finally substituted out DJU for Brock Glenn. And like I said, it wasn't even close. This game was not even 12 of 30 for 222, 2 and 3 for DJU before you bring in Brock Glenn, who went the sum total of 0 for 4. And then once again, 73 yards net rushing. The consistency that we have had here in the A block of this program with quarterbacks that are not quality quarterbacks in their systems and in their teams and in their conferences.
So they just keep portaling until they find a place to call home.
Someone feels that there's value in them from somewhere. Why? I'd love to know who decides that, you know, in DJU and in, you know, Peyton Thorne, who sees the value? I want to know who these individuals are. There's a reason that they're portaling, and it's not because they're good. And in this particular case with DJU, you stick with him, and then you bring in Brock Glenn for only 4 passing attempts. You know, Mike Norvell hit all the talking point adjectives after it was like he's stunned and he's confused or whatever the words were used.
What's the confusion? You got a bad
appalled and utterly dismayed.
I mean,
you don't take the time to develop somebody long term, and this is what you get.
You don't.
That kid's done himself no favors without staying in one system and trying to develop a certain skill set. Instead, he just keeps changing his addresses and changing his skill sets.
Yeah.
And he hasn't developed any of them.
No. And you have the situation that you have in Tallahassee, where Mike Norvell's buyout, from what I understand, is $6 million.
That's not that much.
No. And I'm waiting for someone to sit here and it's like, okay, that they cut a check. But this is part and parcel to the overarching problem that Marty is addressing here. you have all of these portaling quarterbacks going from system to system to system to system. You're expecting them to be on from moment one. And when you're learning a new system, that is virtually impossible to do. You end up creating problems, more problems than you had, and then you expose that individual for the issues that they have at quarterback. And it creates more problems for yourself, and you end up with a spiral. Florida State is not a good football team because you're forced. All you got to do is have DJU beat you. 7 in the box, have him beat you. Trust your corners, and you end up with less than 80 yards rushing net again with Lawrence Toafili in the backfield.
Yeah, no, I will say that not all quarterback transfers are created equal, because Cam Ward came from Washington State cross country to play in Miami this year and has thrived in that offensive system.
Wing it. That's real hard.
Hey, do what you got to do.
No, but
you're in Florida State. You can't throw. Play action ain't going to work.
Yeah. Same thing at Ohio State. Will Howard gets picked up in the transfer portal, doesn't miss a beat.
No, one of the comments he made earlier in the year was, the hardest thing for me coming here is what's considered open on a receiver.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You got receivers where if they're double covered, you can still throw it up, and it's not a 50-50 ball. It's an 80-20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it all depends on the system and the player. Real quick, couple of quick shout outs here as we got to kind of wrap things up in the first block of the show.
40 plus minutes.
Army goes to 4-0, undefeated.
Blake Horvath for Heisman. He needs.
How many passing yards did they have?
Doesn't matter.
No, I'm just saying damn.
They beat Temple 42-14 on Thursday night, and big win for Rutgers and Greg Schiano. They take down the Washington Huskies 21-18. Rutgers goes to 4-0 on the season as well.
Undefeated in the Big Ten.
I know.
Hey, look, when you've got
You don't get to say that for Rutgers much.
When you've got Army and Navy both 4-0, Navy beating UAB at UAB, Blake Horvath once again, 2 long touchdown passes for Navy. Navy is passing the football and they're 4-0.
Did they have that many passing touchdowns last year total?
I do not believe that they did. I mean, Blake Horvath, Blake Horvath, 9 of 11, 225, and 2 touchdown passes. And then he was also their leading rusher with 84 yards rushing. And they ran for this is too perfect for Navy. 225 yards passing, 227 yards rushing.
Right now, Bill Belichick's sitting on his porch drinking an iced tea, nodding his head.
Mm-hmm.
And Army did not throw the ball much, but quarterback Bryson Daly, 24 carries, 152 yards, and 3 TDs in their win.
That's my QB. I can't wait for that Army-Navy game this year.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Take the over in the Army-Navy game.
It's going to be a good one. Guys, let's wrap things up in the first block of the show. When we come back in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about what's coming up this coming week in college football and everybody's favorite college football segment, college football on a budget. All that and more. We return for the second half of the review. You are listening to the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe.
Over here on the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. FOOTBALL. College football version here with the College Football Review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with 2 O's, but football with a U, FUTBOL, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports, do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You have made it to the second half of the show. And before we get into the schedule and college football on a budget, there was one thing really quickly that I did want to talk about. UNLV.
UNILV?
They made headlines, probably not for the reasons that they wanted to, though it hasn't really affected them as a player, as a team.
Oh.
Starting quarterback Matthew Sluka walked away from the program this week when they couldn't. Their NIL collective allegedly did not pay Sluka the $100,000 that he says they promised them.
Get it in writing, kids.
He
apparently wanted more after 2 wins, and it was two wins against teams that you're like, bruh.
Yeah, you're not that good.
Now, that's where this gets a little weird. Is did he ask for more, or did he ask for what they promised him? Because you've been hearing both.
Yeah,
and then they also had a similar problem with a running back too, I believe, right? Which, if that's the case, then somebody's lying in that front office.
Then it's more than one. Then it's more than one issue,
and that's a pattern.
Yeah, then that's a pattern. Once is somebody stomping their feet. 2 is a pattern. 3 is a problem.
Yeah, I haven't heard about a running back with the same issue, but
but hey, no payments, no problems. They get a win.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't miss a beat. They had another NIL transfer, Hajj Malik Williams, who transferred over from Campbell. Stepped right in, didn't miss a beat. He goes 13 for 16 and 182 as UNLV gets an easy win over Fresno State.
4-0, baby. But yeah, J-Dub with the transfer. When you portal from Campbell to UNILV and you put up 59, I mean, that's good on you.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't see that coming. I thought they were going to have some issues with that.
I did too.
Maybe Sluka thinks he's going to walk into the portal and be in high demand. I don't think he will.
You beat Houston and Kansas, Sluka.
Hey, maybe he'll go to Campbell since they lost a guy.
You did what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, I hear they may be in need of a quarterback in Tallahassee.
It's not off the tables is the sad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Had to throw that in there, John.
We need a coach in Tallahassee first.
Tallahassee welcomes Lane Kiffin.
I don't know if we.
Wait, I thought he was going to get.
It would be a hot. It would be somebody like a Tony Sanchez from UNLV. It would be somebody who's
Tony Sanchez isn't the coach at UNLV. It's Barry Odom.
Barry Odom, sorry. Yeah, that's right. I think Sanchez is at New Mexico State now. But it would be a Barry Odom type hire. That's what it would be. But we don't have the money. We don't have the money to bring in Lane Kiffin and Juice. We can't pay Kiffin what he would want. It would be a Barry Odom type hire.
Yeah, but his wife is about as Florida as it gets.
True. Cannot deny that.
Grove as it gets, I think.
Let's talk about next week, guys. Week number 6 doesn't promise as many top 10 collisions as this past week did.
Okay, well, I was going to say, if you were going to put in a certain word, I was going to sit here and have Marty mark the tape so we could play it back next week.
Yeah, did not say it. But some interesting matchups. One of those featuring a couple of SEC teams playing in Williams-Brice Stadium. I like the Ole Miss South Carolina matchup. I think you got an intriguing game there. South Carolina played pretty well so far this season, and Ole Miss coming off their loss. I'm interested to see how both of these teams rebound.
I got to go with Ole Miss in this one. I honestly do. I think that they'll go in. I don't think they're going to come anywhere close to a total,
No,
but because I think that Shane Beamer will probably try to muck it up and try to make it as slow a game as possible. But I got to go with Ole Miss in a snapback game in a case like this.
yeah, after getting embarrassed like that, they're going to be motivated this week.
Yes, absolutely.
Just
Oh,
hope it doesn't come down to a kick.
we talked a little bit in the first half about the undefeated Navy football team. They traveled to Colorado to take on the Air Force.
Commander-in-Chief trophy.
Noon kickoff on CBS. That might be what must-watch TV if you're at home or at a sports bar.
Support your service academies. Watch that game. It's going to be entertaining.
Yes. And Army, get this. You're going to have to go double screen because Army is at Tulsa on the U at the same time. So your 3 service academies that are Division I are all playing at noon, 2 against each other for commander-in-chief status.
I'm still going to do a quad box, but that 4th box is just going to be the American flag with an eagle flying around it.
I might have an interesting one for you. A little Big Ten action. The undefeated Rutgers football team travels to Nebraska to take on Nebraska. A 4 p.m. game on FS1.
That could be ugly.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan Raiola is going to want to throw a lot, and Rutgers' defense is going to want to do the same. So it's going to be an interesting clash. So I'll go under, and I think the further under we go, the more it will favor Rutgers by the time we're done.
It's not interesting talk, but I kind of agree.
Yeah.
Just my biggest question is how much is Raiola going to try to cosplay at Patrick Mahomes again?
Oh, look, that's
Forge your own path, young man.
Yeah, no, no, it will continue to be until he turns unsuccessful with it. So there you go.
Yeah, and a game that would have been really interesting in 2012, but not quite as interesting in 2024. Number 17 Clemson travels to Tallahassee to take on John's Florida State Seminoles.
Shit. Well, and it's also the DJU Bowl.
Ooh.
Yes, it is, because it's the school, Clemson, the school that DJU began at. Florida State, the 3rd stop on his world tour.
Losing team keeps him.
Thanks.
It's gonna be make it a trophy game.
The DJ. Yeah, the DJ. It's a basic.
DJ, you take him.
It's a turntable, is what it is. That's your trophy, is a turntable. Do we have any? What's the get-in price? Do we have a get-in price for this one yet?
46.
We do $46 at beautiful Doak Campbell Stadium in scenic Tallahassee, Florida.
Well, remember.
By the way,
That's gonna be loaded with Clemson fans.
Yes.
Then I want to do make a quick shout out to the folks in Tallahassee who are still trying to clean up after the remnants of Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, no doubt, and along the in the swamps in South Georgia as well, and then everybody up in the mountains, especially the SoCon schools. If you haven't read it, public service, find the Pat 40 piece where he caught up with Trey Lamb at East Tennessee State because they were heading down to Charleston to take on the Citadel, and it was an adventure of incredible proportions. So that's your required reading for the week, the Pat 40 piece where he caught up with Trey Lamb at East Tennessee State.
And fans, if you want to make a donation, do not do something that just popped up on Facebook 5 minutes ago. As somebody who used to cover storms, Salvation Army is always the first one there.
Yep.
They're handing out food. They are rolling up their sleeves and elbow deep in everything. Give to the Salvation Army or give to the school that you think I hurt the worst.
Yep.
That's your PSA.
Yep.
That is our public service announcement for the day. Looking through the schedule here, I don't see a lot of games that really jump off the page outside of what we've already talked about. I do
The page for you.
find it intriguing that Miami is making the trip out west to play Cal.
ACC after dark, baby.
Yes, it is.
ASS after dark. It's gonna be a horrible game.
I just find that an interesting matchup that they've got to go that far away and play a 10:30 game out there.
That's what happens.
Welcome to the brave new world of college football.
Galactic realignment.
Yeah, 3,000-mile plus flight. Good luck with that. What else? You guys see anything here that you like schedule-wise?
Oh boy.
No, not. I mean, it's Navy Air Force for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Don, I
see.
take it your better half is not going to drag you to Athens to see Auburn play Georgia.
She's not dragging herself to Athens to go see Auburn play Georgia. I mean, there might be some local viewing, and it might be in Casa HD, but no, there is
Set
no
up a tailgate in the backyard.
there. Yeah, well, I do that in the den. I mean, it ain't happening, and yeah. So I think Marty, for me, I think you're right. I think Navy and Air Force, I think is a noon, the part of the noon brigade.
America.
Then I think as we go, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Ole Miss and South Carolina to 3:30. I'm kind of like, it might just be on in the room. West Virginia, Oklahoma State, take the over at Boone Pickens at 4. I'm going to avoid the 7 o'clock game because I will be otherwise occupied with other things going on.
Yeah, your only interesting 7 o'clock game that I see here looking at the schedule is Utah State at Boise State, and that's only because we can watch young Mr. Genty take care of business.
Correct. That's what I would do, unless you want to go watch Hawaii and San Diego State. Hawaii making it to the mainland, and that's an 8 o'clock kick. But 11 o'clock
Ooh,
on FOX, Texas
daylight.
Tech and Arizona. So for those of you that might have had a bad day with the juice boxes, your 11 o'clock game, Texas Tech and Arizona.
With that, we will transition to everybody's favorite segment. It's the part where we look for the lowest price college football games that you can get into, usually on $10 or under.
Correct.
In looking down things this week, we might have to extend that just a little bit, but I'll start at the beginning. Thursday night in Veterans Memorial Stadium in Troy, Texas State travels to take on the Troy Trojans. Get in price $10.
I'm about the Fun Belt. I've been impressed with how Texas State has really been rallying their fans around. They've been getting a lot more support. And for a program that size, that's really good to see. So I'll go to Troy, but I'll cheer for Texas State.
They might be heading to the Mountain West. That is an early thought from this week, where it might be Texas State heading to the Mountain West.
They're rumored to have interest in the Pac-12, but Mountain West has actually handed out an invite.
So yes, if you have nothing going on and want to take the over, go to the old Movie Gallery Stadium for $10.
Moving down the list of games, a few days out before week number 6. We talked earlier about Army and Tulsa. You can go see that game if you want to make the trip to Chapman Stadium in Tulsa. $10 get-in price as of right now.
Ooh.
Support your service academy.
Ding,
Support
ding,
your service
ding.
academies.
Ding, ding, ding.
If you're in the area, that is definitely worth the get-in price, folks.
Absolutely.
Good entertainment.
I got to be honest. I think Houston and TCU, it's currently $16, but I think that's going to drop.
Yeah.
It might. But
State Fair is going on. Houston's in town. Boom, boom. Go to that game.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the fair first. Get some corny dogs. Make your way over to Fort Worth.
Oh, get fried everything.
Mm-hmm. Fried food.
Fried everything.
Moving down the list of games, your lowest price game, 2 of your lowest price games of the week so far. If you want to go to Pratt & Whitney Stadium in East Hartford, Connecticut, you can watch the Temple UConn game for the low price of $9. don't do it, folks.
I got family playing in that game, and I'm not going.
Yeah, do not recommend this one.
Do not-
Far better things you can do with the $9 involved with that.
Correct.
Far better.
And then you could go, because then you could go to Stanford Stadium and go see Virginia Tech and Stanford for $9.
And one of the worst mascots in college football.
The tree.
I'll go it just to make fun of the tree.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's worth it just for the other reason that if you got to pick between the two $9 games, pick this one.
Yes, that is true.
It's the lesser of two evils.
Absolutely true. You're right on.
Moving down the list, there's not a whole lot here.
No,
Got Raging Cajuns and Southern Miss for, if you adjust for inflation, $11.
You make the trip down to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. You can get in for $11. That game on ESPN Plus.
you go to the Jitney Jungle, get your beer, go and tailgate, and be all right.
Woohoo!
Ooh,
Yeah, and then your
support
last
the
game
Sun Belt.
Mhm.
under $15, under $12 or under. The Texas Tech Arizona game on the big FOX kickoff at 11 p.m. Eastern time. You can get into that game right now if you want to go to beautiful Tucson, Arizona for $12.
You know what? That'd be a quality game, I think.
Yeah.
I'm buying that one.
It's a
Okay.
late
That's
game.
definitely going to come. I think that's going to come down. Even with Arizona playing well this week, I still think that game's going to come down a little bit.
Well, and you go to 1AA, and we'll do this as a public service. New Hampshire at Harvard Stadium, Friday night, $8. Ding, ding, ding.
Dong.
Brown, and I've been to Brown Stadium. Bryant's playing at Brown Saturday for 12. Good tailgating. You get to tailgate right up against the stadium. So $12 there in the Ivy League.
I'll put my pinky out and I'll go to that one.
Then you could do Central Connecticut and Yale at the Yale Bowl, which has history, but it's 14. I think that one's going to come down, so I'll go ding there.
No.
And Albany at Cornell at Sholkoff Field in Ithaca, New York for $11. So
I hear that part of the world's beautiful this time of year.
yeah, so literally
Oh yeah, it's going to be October for that, so I'll go just for the leagues.
so literally you could Ivy League your way into football on a budget.
Under $100.
And you could get some things you really could go and see some different football. I mean, right now in 1AA there are a couple that are 14. Wagner and Stonehill is 13. A couple that are 17. VMI in Samford at Seibert Stadium in downtown Birmingham for 10. And then Villanova and Stony Brook again at Kenneth P. Laval Stadium in Stony Brook, New York, for the second week in a row. Stony Brook with a home game is under $10. And okay. So you wanted to expand a little bit. Here's one. South Dakota State at Northern Iowa at the Unidome in Cedar Falls.
Oh, that's a barn.
$12 to get in right now for the Missouri Valley.
I'm doing that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Quality teams. That
Yep.
stadium, there is about 2 yards between the sidelines and the wall.
Mhm.
It gets loud in there.
Yep. And then the last one in 1AA, Illinois State and Southern Illinois, $9 at Saluki Stadium in Carbondale. So there is some.
If you had to pick a week to venture out of your comfort zone and pick up some of these games that are off the beaten track and off the radar a little bit, this is the week to do it.
Yeah.
Just I don't envy you for the drive to the Unidome. I made that in college, and not a lot of sights. There's definitely a lot of smells.
Yes. So Division 1AA would be the week to go and expand your horizons without question.
Guys, what do you say we wrap things up here? We've talked a lot about some things that happened.
Crappy quarterbacks and crappy coaching, and thank you for that.
Yeah, it's what we're here for. The week that was and the week that is upcoming in college football, all that and more here on the review.
I didn't get a harumph out of you.
Is that better?
I got my eye on you.
There.
Okay.
Get us out of here, Phil.
Yep. Make sure you tune in, watch your local college football team. You still can't find a better bargain in the sports world. For OSG Nelson and Brother Marty, I am Brother Phil. We are the OSG Sports College Football Team. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you listen and look out for the X during the week with Brother Wilkie and Brother John.
Watch it twice. We need numbers.
Yes.
X. Everybody have a great week. Follow college football. Much love to everybody, especially those of you up in the Carolinas. We will talk to you all again in about a week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye-bye.
Please like and subscribe and support your service academies.